It is difficult. That's what gives it value. Being a man's man is very difficult, and it will never become easy. It is a daily, day after day requirement, is a day after day struggle to not only be your best self physically, but be present mentally, to be spiritually sound, to be able to make great decisions, to cut out and get your daily habits and disciplines in line. Like, that is tough.
Let's impact some today. I think we're gonna do a great job.
What is going on, guys? Welcome to another episode of the Modern Man Podcast, where we are on a mission of connecting men in pursuit of their potential. First, I'm going to ask that you guys join us by embracing discomfort, cultivate community, and put wind in each other's sails. If you're ready to take your personal and your professional growth to the next level, be sure to hit that like button, hit that share button, and subscribe to the podcast so you can get a new episode each and every single week. And also, don't forget to check out the Noble Knights Mastermind group, where you'll find the support, accountability, and the mentorship you need to achieve your goals. Men, join us and become a part of a community of like-minded men on a mission to improve themselves and elevate their capacity for life. I'm excited because we're getting wind in our sails today from Marine Corps veteran, residential and commercial steel entrepreneur, coach. My man could probably lift a few more weights, if I'm being honest. I got Adam Powell on the call today. Adam, what's up, man?
What's up, Ted, man? Hey, first off, thanks so much for sharing your time with me. Thank you for putting me in front of a solid group of guys that I'm just personally really, really passionate about speaking to. And one of them too. You know, I think one of the things that we look up to certain individuals, thinking that they're like in a different realm or a different part of the, like a different dimension that is different from ours. And we're all the same, man. We all struggle with the same shit. We all go through the same struggles. And so I think that's important to kind of kick this off with.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And for anybody that's listening, not watching, I'm joking about the lifting weights thing. This man has biceps as big as my head. It's okay, because we're going to arm wrestle soon, and I got to work my way up. But Adam, I'm going to give you the floor, let you introduce yourself, brother, talk directly to the audience, to the people, and then we can jump into our conversation today, which I know is going to be a great one, brother. So please, The floor is yours.
Absolutely. Well, I'm just good at my angles on Instagram. I don't think my biceps will live up to the hype if we get that lift in. But I'll start backwards and then reverse engineer. I live in Miami, Florida for now. I'm in the residential and commercial steel space. We design commercial and residential structures, and then we sell the steel kit, the steel package to match whatever that custom design is. We do that all over the country. And it's something I just kind of fell into. I saw it done on a very poor level. I ended up taking the good and getting rid of the bad, fixing the bad, and here we are. And people say all the time, "Hey, Adam, I've seen you do this. I've seen you do that. How'd you get into that industry?" And my answer is this: I've tried 20, 25, 30 different jobs since I was a teenage boy. And I could never find that dream job. Everybody say, "Adam, what's your dream job?" I don't know, man. I've tried this. I keep trying this. In my early 30s, I came upon the idea that I don't have a dream job. I have a dream lifestyle. I have something that I want for myself and my future family. And whatever gets me to that place will end up being my quote unquote dream job. And this is exactly what that is for me. And I couldn't be more grateful. But I didn't grow up this guy. I think if you follow my social media, I'm rather brash. I'm pretty passionate about what I'm passionate about. Confidence is there, but it hasn't always been there. I grew up scrawny. There was no shoulders or arms. I grew up very poor. We just had what we had. There was no such thing as like extracurricular items or the new shoes that came out. I'm glad all these Apple products weren't out when I was a kid, because I would have been the kid that didn't have any of them. And no drive, no goals, just kind of like living this existence without any clear agenda for the future until I joined the Marine Corps. So I joined the Marine Corps at 21 years old, went off to boot camp, thought I was a man prior, realized real quick I had no idea what manhood was, and that has kind of led us into the journey of entrepreneurship. And being a fearless leader and hopefully a future father to current day. So
Yeah. No, I love that, man. And thank you for your service, by the way.
thanks,
Appreciate you,
brother.
brother. My older brother was actually also a Marine veteran.
Really
And yeah, he's a Marine veteran. He's a firefighter now in Orange County, Florida.
good for him.
He was jacked. And I always say the joke. I think he told me about Army means stands for ain't ready to be a Marine yet. So
Oh man, I love
that's
that. There's a bunch of them. That's one of the best ones. I got
yeah.
another one. My brother's in the Navy, and for those that don't know, the Marine Corps is actually a department of the Navy. The Marine Corps budget comes from the overall Navy budget. Some people know that, some people don't. But my brother, who's in the Navy, will often say, "Hey, Adam, remember the Marine Corps is a department of the Navy." And I said, "Yeah, the men's department." And so we go back and forth a lot on that kind of stuff. But yeah,
I love that.
thank your brother for his service.
Appreciate that. And what's funny is anybody that doesn't know the story, my brother's a lot older than me, and he's a half brother from my dad's first marriage. And I met him when I was actually close to 10 years old. And I remember being afraid of him the first time I met him. And I also
Wow.
remember that my brother wasn't always the way that he is. He's a very regimented man. He's a very systemized kind of man, much like how I've become. And we joke, like my family jokes, like the men in our family have OCD. But what my brother tapped into, what I tapped into is really the fruits of the labor of these systems and processes. I'm curious for you, what did the Marine Corps unlock for Adam at 21 that is still unlocked for you today?
Yeah, I think just discipline as a whole. Like I said, I was floating through, uh, you know, the atmosphere before I joined the Marine Corps. I had no rhyme or reason for my day. I don't remember prior to the Marine Corps having any kind of like wake up call outside of waking up as the last minute possible to get into school. Where I didn't
Yeah.
do too well as a kid. I think from learning more about myself as I grew older, it wasn't that I wasn't good at school. It's that I didn't care enough about that to want to be good at it. There's a part of me that thinks that if I went to high school now, I'd have straight A's. I'd be on the varsity basketball team. I'd be like I'd have all those accolades because of who I have become in the meantime. But for me, it's discipline. I mention this a lot. If you on my social media and you follow me, you'll hear this often. Is like my mission in life has become about more than myself. And I think that I have to give credit to the Marine Corps. I can't think of a time where I thought those sort of thoughts prior. But the Marine Corps is all about the guys around you, the guy that's got your back. At some point, your back needs to be covered. You can't cover yourself, right? And
Yeah.
I think when we talk about daily life habits that we partake in and decisions that we make, I think a lot of times making that about somebody else is a value add. And in fact, I'll tell a story behind that. This actually didn't come from the Marine Corps. It was after I was in the Marine Corps. I was getting back into the gym. I ran across this guy that had some amputated legs and arms, but he was always in the gym. And I'm thinking, this guy, and I can't remember exactly how many, but at least two of his limbs were completely amputated. But he was in the gym. He'd squat, he'd lift, he'd be on the stairmaster religiously. I was never in the gym and he wasn't there. And the guy's got to be early 70s. I think it was like 72, 73 years old. I finally stopped him one time. The curiosity was killing me. I said, "Hey man, what is it?" Because you're not in here actually, you're lifting weights and you get nothing from it. You don't even have a muscle to build and grow. Why are you doing this? And he said that he still rolls around on the floor with his grandkids. He still is able to attend and walk to their sporting events. He goes to Boy Scout meetings with his grandkids, and he says that's why he does it. And he told me this, and this stuck with me. And I've had so many people. We've had so many people of our lives like share little nuggets with us. I don't know why this one stuck out, but I can't. I remember every word of it. He said the first person to give up on yourself is always yourself. So if you
Yes.
can make what you do about other people, about someone else, the likelihood of your success in that area is tenfold. And I have held on to that since. I mean, that's 15 years ago.
And that's why I did the Noble Nights, man. And the reality is, and I have a good routine now. It's just kind of ingrained in me. Like I'm going to go to the gym, but back when I was 135 pounds, soaking wet, could barely even bench press the bar, I needed the accountability of my buddy at the gym at 6 a.m. because I would wake up and I would hit the snooze button. I would not stick to the plan I set for myself because it was only myself that had to deal
Sure.
with the consequences. But when my buddy's waiting at 6 a.m., I'm going to be there at 5:59 because I still don't want to hear him rip on me being a minute late. Oh, if you're
Yeah.
on time, you're late. If you're early, you're on time. But
Yeah.
that's been the benefit of that accountability and that brotherhood to kind of keep me in there and keep me going moving forward, man.
I I tell people all the time, I'm not a father. I imagine some people watching this, maybe most of you might be a father or long to be a father. And while I am not currently one, I often think I
Yeah.
can be in the gym lifting weights, and I often think I want to become my future son, my future daughter's superhero. I made a
H.
video on Instagram not too long ago about, uh, and it's just a perspective, right? Whether it's true or not is insignificant. But the perspective is our kids wouldn't have to latch on to these superheroes that they see on TV or in the movies if their father was a superhero,
But
and I can imagine. I just have this visual that and we'll just call it the average man in America, the son sitting on the couch beside his father, and he's looking on the TV, and he sees these Avengers guys, and he sees the Hulk, and he's just your natural instincts as a male. You like that. You want to be like that. You want to be strong. You want to be wanted by others. You want to be able to protect and provide. And then you look over on the couch, and your father's crushing some chicken fingers and a six pack of beer, and he's like, I
exactly.
don't want to be that. And then he looks back to the TV, and it doesn't have to be that way. you know Another reason I think the way I do about that is, like, I have the opportunity to do that now before I ever become that father. I can't speak
Yeah.
for people that are fathers, but I imagine once you have the child, there's other hurdles there, right? It's easier to want to excuse yourself from staying in tip top shape. But I also want to, like, encourage everybody that's listening to this. If there's anybody that deserves your absolute best, physically, mentally, spiritually, it's your family. And it kind of grosses me out and upsets me when I see people in their single phase give their best efforts of presenting the best version of themselves to strangers, and then God finally gives them that thing that they prayed and hoped for their entire lives, which is this beautiful, loving, supportive wife, these beautiful children, and then they get the trash version of you, and that's
Mm.
unacceptable. you know and I think a lot comes with that, on a mental and spiritual side, that is hard to understand until you're there. So the
Yeah.
best way to prevent that is to get ahead of the curve.
Yeah, no, 100%, man. And do it now is something I just wrote down what you said, because to your point, I'm 3 months into this parenting thing, and I can tell folks with clarity and certainty it is harder with a child than without. Now, I'm saying this literally as I was doing cleans with my wife, and we literally had the stroller and the little swing in the gym with us. Our
I love
daughter is sitting there watching us work out and slowly dozing off as we were finishing the workout with a row for time for 1,500 meters, which your boy got under 6 minutes, personal record.
Let's
But
go.
the incorporation of my daughter into my daily habits started with having daily habits. And if I didn't have those daily habits, it would not work. Now, also, to your point, Adam, I just did a body scan yesterday. I'm also going to
Let's go.
show
Let's
it
hear it.
because I just came back from family vacation. And similar to you, I was scrawny growing up. My problem was putting on weight. I was skinny. I was 135 pounds soaking wet. And I tried for the longest time to get to 185 pounds, 11% body fat. And every time I got down to 183, because I would bulk up, I get down to like 185, 83. I'd still be like, I'd still have like not enough muscle. So I'd get to
Sure.
11% body fat, but I'd be like under 185. So your boy hit 200 for the first time, which is a huge accomplishment. It's the heaviest I've
Good
been,
stuff.
but also you can also see my body weight percentage went down. So while my weight went up and my muscle mass went up, my fat went down,
You can't
which
ask
is
for
what I'm
anything.
looking at as a win, because I'm
That's
down to
solid.
15%. I haven't been more than 16%. I keep myself 16% or less year round. I see you are single digit body weight, body fat
Absolutely.
percentage.
Absolutely, yeah. We stay
Ooh.
between 8 and 10% probably. You know, and there's science behind, you know,
There.
the more muscle someone has, the harder it is for their body to retain fat, you know? So I don't know if you've watched videos or you have friends that are like maybe they're like really muscular guys and you're like, they don't eat the best. How do they stay so well? There's science behind that, you know? A lot of
Mhm.
times the very obese people, they have very little muscle mass. And so it kind of works in the opposite there. But yeah, man, that's dude, if you're gaining weight and that weight is muscle and your body fat percentage is going down, you can't ask for anything more. That's very,
Yeah.
I don't want to say rare, just difficult because that takes discipline. I can
Yeah.
look at that chart and I don't have to ask you about your disciplines. I can look at that and
Yeah.
know because you can't cheat that, you know?
Yeah. And the fantastic thing about that is having a daughter has introduced some of those challenges, right? You have to think farther ahead. A lot of people talk about cold dinners because right around dinner times when the baby's got to eat and our meal preps are more and more important. Communication with my wife and myself. So to your point, Adam, doing it now, any guy listening, I recommend they do it now because not
Mm.
only is it the habits, it's also the know-how. Like my wife is also postpartum and she wanted me to write out a workout program for her that she can do. So it's something that we can both do, nothing that's going to be overly strenuous on her. But these are the skills and these are the foundations that we put that help us build a family and build that future that we want. Since we're kind of on the topic of fitness and with the challenges of family, and we talked about discipline, what are the pillars you see in your world that helps establish um, Adam's reality, Adam's day to day, right? Because I feel as though any man that I watched who's operating at a high level, building success in their life from what we would perceive from the outside looking in, has a playbook and has an approach to it. So I'm curious as to what your playbook and what your approach to your day to day looks like when it comes to discipline, routines, and habits.
Yeah, no, that's a great question. That's fantastic. We could probably break this down for an hour. I'll try not to, but no, I think you first got to know what you want. I think you got to know what your goal is. You know, mine, I want to be a successful entrepreneur. I want to be a father. I want to be a husband, right? I want my family to be able to have and go and do whatever they want. So that requires a certain amount of effort for me. I also know that there's other people that want those exact same things. So
Yeah.
from a competitive male standpoint, I know there's people that want and likely will or will not have the same thing. There's only so much, you know what I mean? There's almost so much to go around. And so there's this competitive nature where it's like, if a guy's telling me he wants the same thing I do and he's getting up at 6, well, I'm going to get up at 3:30. And over time, he'll never be able to catch me. And so, but part of making time also to get all those things done, a business owner, you know, having employees, payroll, kind of when you're a young business owner, you got to do it all. You got to wear all these hats, and the to do list never shrinks; it only grows. And so, I'm hoping at some point in the future that tips. You know, you hire enough people and that they help you out with certain stuff. But the other part of you know, you hear this verbiage all the time. I just don't have time. Adam, I know I need to go to the gym. Adam, I know I need to do that. I just don't have time. And I challenge almost anybody on that because my encouragement to you, for anybody listening, is that whether you are a married person, whether you are a single mother or single father of some kids, whether you're a business owner, whether you've got two jobs, there's already somebody that has come before you that has killed it. They have actually made the thing that you want happen. There's plenty of success stories out there. I mean, there's people that don't even have any legs and they live in a wheelchair that are in better shape than any of us on this call. Like so if you really are passionate about getting something, you can make it happen. There are no excuses. Kind of back to the prior point, your family and kids should never be the excuse. They should be the reason that you figure out a way to make it happen. And so one of the ways that you make it happen with these daily habits and disciplines is you got to get rid of vices. For me personally, this is kind of embarrassing because if you know me, this is probably something that you wouldn't think you would associate with Adam, but I've loved video games since I was a kid. So when I first started my business a couple years ago, I would work out first thing in the morning, I'd work through the morning, and then I would tell myself, "Hey Adam, you've done great today. Why don't you have lunch, play video games for 30 minutes, which would turn into, an hour and a half, 2 hours, and then finish your workday. Well, I realized very quickly that was not going to get me to the place of success that I'm at now and the place of success I want to get to in the future. So that is a vice. That is something that gave me a dopamine hit that gave me no added value to what my personal goals were. It did not help me find a wife. In fact, it probably would deter the actual wife I want, right? It made me no money, right? So it didn't make me present. In some degree, the video games for me is what alcohol is for other people. It's escapism. You're escaping this reality that you're scared to face. You don't know how to face it. And so I think sometimes it's not about making the time, it's getting rid of the vices, the things that are wasting your time. Me personally, I don't have a TV. I don't watch TV at all. I'll listen to a YouTube podcast. I like Alex Hormozy a lot. I listen to him on a daily basis, like during my workouts or during cardio. But I don't need a movie. I live in a movie, right? And we're the star of our movie. Why am I watching Tom? And I don't know what, and we won't get into it, Ted, but like, we know half of these movie stars and stuff, they're crazy anywhere. They're evil. They're into some stuff that we don't even want to talk about. You know what I mean? So like, why are we spending hours of our time not working on us and our family? And we're watching these people who realistically, if you knew, you don't even want to be nothing like, So I think getting rid of vices, man. I do not drink. I don't socially drink. I just don't see a benefit. If someone could tell me a benefit in consuming alcohol, I would try it again. But there are none. And so the things that are part of my daily life are value add. The food I eat, my exercise, the relationships I choose to have and choose not to have. I've shed a lot of people recently. They don't serve what my purpose is. And I think when you start to get all that noise out of your ear from TV, from social media, from people that are not in a place that you want to be, it helps to bring clarity. And so I would tell people, figure out what you want and then knock out anything, and I mean anything in your life that doesn't make sense or doesn't add value for you getting there.
If iron sharpens iron, so does one man sharpen another. But if you're a man and you're alone or listening to this, then who sharpens you? What's going on, guys? Ted Phaeton here, host of the Modern Man Podcast, also founder of the Noble Knights Mastermind Group. And I'm just out here encouraging you to find your circle. Maybe you're on a personal growth journey and nobody around you understands the new mentality that you're possessing. That's okay. You can find an online community that will pour into you, will navigate your goals and navigate your obstacles, share their experiences, resources, and more. Join the Noble Knights Mastermind Group and try us out for free to tap into a community of men helping each other scale up and reach their goals.
Check out themodernmanpodcast.com.
Yeah, man, you weren't lying. We could do a whole I could do a whole podcast on the breakdown what you just said, bro.
Dude, I could put my headphones on and listen to a couple hours of you going at it. I know it.
Well, just one thing you mentioned about time, and this is something I coach men on. I talk about the tools of time. I'm actually going to be releasing a course shortly after this episode airs called The Tools of Time, which walks men through identifying what their days look like, assessing it, adjusting it, and applying the new model, the AAA model. And I mentioned there's 4 approaches to time: dump, delegate, organize, optimize. Now, the number one thing is dump, because there are so many things that we do out of day in and day out that provides absolutely no value. And it provides no momentum towards where we want to go in life. And if anything, it is the luggage, it is the baggage, and it is the drag on our forward momentum that we have incorporated in our daily lives, in our habits that we don't recognize. So dump is the first thing. So I love that you said that, getting rid of vices. I'm a video gamer too. I love playing Call of Duty. And it's so funny because I did not touch that game for the longest time. When I was on paternity leave, I had like 4 weeks off, started playing again. Then I was MIA. So
the last time I played Warzone, I was like playing and I'm like, why do I spend so many hours on this? I'm trash. I'm not even good. I'm like not even one of the guys that like flies around the map, and I'm terrible. Why do I enjoy being terrible? I'm better at real life stuff. I'm good at the gym. I'm good at, building teams and businesses, so like it just, it's one of those thoughtless actions that we do that have been a part of our daily habits for so long. But yeah, man, at the end of the day, you're not going to be remembered for your Call of Duty video game score. None of
No,
us are. You're going to be
the
remembered for the
reality,
father, the leader, the husband.
what you said though, which was huge, is like, yeah, I'm not good at this. And what I played and what I realized was I started getting good. Like when I was on paternity leave and I'd play like an hour a day or something with the baby snapping, I realized, and I'm in a spot now, confidently, if I were to dedicate myself to the video games, I would get good. However, now I've also determined there are things that I will be great at that I will not waste my time doing. And what I mean by that is for guys listening, I was really good at the bars. There have been many dance floors that I'd murdered out there by crushing it. And I'm very good at going out. I'm charismatic. I'm a people person. I'm the life of the party. They give me bottle service. They give me a table. I'm the center of attention. I had a lot of fun going to the clubs, Adam. But the problem was it didn't serve me. And some of these guys have to hear the fact that you could be good at something. It doesn't mean it's for you. So walking away for something, even that you're good at, because
Sure.
being good at it is not going to be what you need to move forward. And something else you said early on, and you kind of mentioned it again with know what you want, is you said something along the lines of you can build or you have to create it or you have to create this person, right? And I think it's not just unique to men. Women can create themselves too, but I think men have more of that blank canvas to work with of who they are, who they become, what they do with their lives. Talk more about that premise, because I do think there are a lot of kids who unfortunately are missing that superhero in their home. We could talk about the fatherlessness homes. I'm not talking about that, because there are also homes with the father in the household who's not embodying that superhero that these kids so badly need. So the reality of not only as men being able to create our future, create our own superhero and become that, talk more into the importance that the men listening should lean into in terms of the life we create and how we show up, not just for our families, but really for so many out there that are watching from the sidelines who can maybe pick up a little bit of drop of this greatness.
Yeah. So I think it starts with the realization that this is a responsibility bestowed on us by our creator, you know? And I think if we're all honest, to take your example earlier about like video games, going out to the club, popping bottles, if you're a male that currently enjoys pornography, all of the ends to these lead us to feel guilt and shame. You play video games as a man for 2 or 3 hours. You can't tell me you get off the video game and you feel confident and manly and ready to take over the world. You know you've wasted time. You knew you should have helped your wife with the dishes. Same thing with the club. The club might be fun in the moment, right? You get all this attention. There's beautiful women, whatever that is. You never wake up the next morning. You never leave and go home and feel spiritually right. I never did. Maybe I'm just speaking for myself here. But in all those instances, like there's this spiritual connotation and responsibility to be a leader, to be a provider, to be a protector. And I think if we can start there, it helps to like create the daily habits and disciplines in order to get there. Right. I think the other part, and we talked about this a little prior, Ted, is like it is difficult. That's what gives it value. Being a man's man is very difficult and it will never become easy. It is a daily, day after day requirement, is a day after day struggle to not only be your best self physically, but be present mentally, to be spiritually sound, to be able to make great decisions, to cut out the bullshit and get your daily habits and disciplines in line. Like that is tough. And the other side of that coin is that in our current world in 2024, you've got every entity and organization and post on social media against you becoming that man because they know the power behind men that step into that role. And so it's a struggle. I think it's okay admitting that like we I'm around some high level guys here in Miami. I've spent more money on my personal development. I've got some incredible mentors and coaches. And I can say this from the guy that's making less money to me to the guy making $3 million a month, they all struggle with the same exact things. And I think that has been huge for like unlocking this place in my head is like, it's easy to view a superhero or someone that's a multi-millionaire or a billionaire. It's easy to view them as like, oh man, easy for them, easy for them. If I had all that money, dude, they struggle with the same things, all of them, from the vices to the women to the everything, and I think it's okay to admit it's difficult, but it's also this responsibility that we have to take on. And there is a spiritual connotation that when you do, you are rewarded for it. Do you know those people that always like, it's always something, right? It's
Yeah.
always this. That person that always,
Dark clouds.
no, yeah, the person that like always stumps their toe, or they, on the way to work, it's always something. That starts internal. You attract what you are. That stuff never happens to me. And I don't have to knock on wood. I don't attract that stuff into my life. I don't have bad days. That is a choice. And so I think like, part of that is the responsibility of just like, perspective on where you're at, where you want to be is huge. I tell everybody all the time, Ted, if you and I spent 24 hours together, let's say we're on a road trip, we listen to the same music, we eat the same food, we talk about the same things, we stop at the same rest areas to use the bathroom. Our perspective on that day, at the end of the day, yours might be completely different than mine. I might say, man, Ted, that was the best talk I ever had. And you like, you talked my ears off. I didn't enjoy any of it. I hate the taste of music you have, like that food was ass. I don't want to eat there ever again, And so perspective shapes your reality. There's no such thing as reality. There's not a one, reality is not real. What you create your reality to be is what you will, what you will sit in. So I think when you understand the power within to be the person that you desire to be and know that everybody struggles with that, I think you're on the right path to getting there.
Yeah. Man, yeah, that's so true. My wife and I just got back from a family vacay. We picked up the dog. The dog was limping because it was in daycare playing for a week straight. And then on the way back, we were at an Airbnb, so we bought some groceries back. A little milk spilled in the back. So I'm like cleaning out that in the back of the car so that the smell. And my wife's like, man, this has been such a terrible day. And I'm like, why? Like, we just got back from vacay. And by the end of the day, we went to a fair with the baby and everything. She's like, yeah, this wasn't a bad day at all. And I'm like, it's crazy how our bad days are still good days, right? And she laughed.
It's like,
but it's perspective.
One of my mentors says there's no such thing as bad weather. There's just weather.
Yeah.
Right? It's sunny or rainy. It's just weather. You decide whether it's good or bad. There's people that love the rain, by the way, right? They consider that good weather day. But that's how life goes. Like when you wake up, man, you get to choose the day you're gonna have. I don't think a lot of people understand the power. I hope this ain't gonna be like last Monday. If that is your mentality, if that is the seed that you're gonna sow, you can't expect any, what kind of harvest can you expect from that? And so the power that a man holds within him, and I believe this to be by nature. I haven't always been this guy. This guy was cultivated. This guy was created over a lot of stress, a lot of poor decisions, right? A lot of knucklehead, life choices. But he was formed and forged to be what he is now. And I'm sure, that'll continue. But like we all innately have this nature to be that thing. And when you start getting in a line with becoming the best version of yourself, you will be blessed with internal things that you can't quite explain. I don't know how to explain that, man. I sleep really well at night knowing as of today, this date, I'm the most optimized version of myself I could be. I sleep really good, man. I have day after day after day. It's good. It's productive. And I think when you're walking in that place that your creator meant for you to walk, it just comes, dude. The universe has a way of blessing.
Yeah, man. I mean, to this day, it's funny because like I actually asked a buddy of this, and it's been weird. Like gratitude has been pouring through me, and I'm like, dude, is it natural to tear up when you feel gratitude? And he's like, oh, 100%. If you're feeling it through God, of course. He's like, especially if you've been through a lot, like, of course you're gonna tear up. And like, I mean, even now, like my eyes well up and water up. I'm not like crying or anything, but it's just like that gratitude of like you've been through so much. You've built yourself into this. And like, hey, kind of like we talked about before the call, like, I waited my whole life to feel how I feel now. And it's crazy because it's like, everything I've worked towards, the clarity of it being on the way is there. And things are just happening. Things are like deals are going through and negotiations are going well. And I'm seeing all this effort that I've done in the past is compounded to a life of ease and peace, which is hard to kind of explain because I do less now, but I get more done,
Sure.
which is oxymoronic.
That means you're
Perspective,
optimized, you know?
I love that. Yeah,
That's
it's optimized.
optimization.
Yeah,
That's the fruit of optimization,
yeah,
100%.
which is weird because even my wife and I joke. It's like I do more now. She's like, yeah, maybe before you were doing too much. It's like, no, now I just know what to do.
Yeah, I mean that's the difference. It's the difference in hitting the gas and spinning your wheels or taking off. There's a
Yeah,
lot of people spinning their wheels in life, man. There's, kind of back to what you were saying. I tell a lot of people this. This is friends, clients, but you can't cheat the system. And so for the
yeah,
guys that you see, right? And Ted, you're a great example of this. I'll put you on a pedestal. Like the guys you see that seemingly are killing it, or everything seems to be going their way, or they continue to level up, they are being blessed by their efforts. They're being blessed by their decisions, their habits, not calling anybody perfect. I don't want to be known as perfect. I'm far from that, but you can't cheat that system. So whether that's waking up early in the morning and getting your workout in before your family even awakens, whether that is, working overtime, whether that is starting your side hustle on the evenings and weekends so that you can get out of the rat race of the 9 to 5 and live that life that, most men, if they were honest, want to live. If you are doing the daily task to get you there, you'll be amazed how things just work out. You'll be amazed how you just get lucky. And so I want to encourage people by that. There are mornings, and I'm gonna be real transparent. I had this morning. It's just so funny. It works on this day. I normally get up and I'm on my dude. I wake up in superhuman mode. You cannot. I pace. This room behind me is dark, and I pace with my pre-workout. And I said, Adam, they can't stop you. Adam, they have no idea what you've been through. They have no idea what you're about to become. They have no idea what the next. Like I'm talking myself up. This morning was not that. This morning was like, dude, you're an entrepreneur. You're a business owner. You can go to the gym whenever you want, dog. Like, you know what I mean? Why are you getting up so early? You need to sleep. Like I'm fighting these demons in my head. I'm fighting the sounds of the old Adam, the excuse maker, And so, against my own will, I went through my routine, went to the gym, had a killer workout. And what I feel from pushing through that thing that tried to stop me, it's invaluable, And when you start to, just like Ted said, that when you start to stack those wins and you start to see the compounding interest of that, it makes it easier and easier to keep at it. If I hadn't seen so much compounding interest come from those decisions over years and years' time, it would have been a lot easier to listen to that voice in my head. But I know that voice does not want my best. That voice is not from God above, right? God did not create me for an easy life. And a lot of times you can weigh decisions that you need to make as a man in your life by, is it difficult or easy? If it's difficult, I would run towards it.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, when I first became an anchor, it was the scariest decision I had to make. And I ran towards it. And looking back, one of the best decisions I've ever made. Changed my financial future, changed my reality. It actually also allowed me to set up a clause in my contract I still have to this day, which has given me the freedom to chase my identity, my own image, which has been growing ever since. And looking back, I'm so glad I did something that scared the shit out of me because on the other side, I'm a better person for it, bro.
You're made for this, bro. 100%.
Oh, yeah, man. We have a couple minutes left. I still want to touch on two things really quick. One, we mentioned perspective a little bit, and I know being in Miami, you're surrounding yourself with these big minds, this new environment coming from Greenville, South Carolina. Mm-hmm. Touch on really quick that change of environment and the importance, because I think a lot of men listening, and I was of the same thought that I believed I had to grow where I was planted, and until I found myself in more fertile soil, I grew faster. So I would love to talk about your change in environment and perspective that has helped the trajectory of that.
I will try to make this quick, but it is something I'm so passionate on. And you hear so many high-level people talk about this, but your environment is everything. And I love that you said the soil that you plant yourself in. Look, I come from Greenville, South Carolina. Like, I don't know a lot of people that. I'll start here. I was born with something different in me, and I've known it since I was a kid. And so the more I developed as a man, the more I grew, the more I, had life experiences, I traveled, I got around certain people, I realized this thing is my mission. It's my calling because it's not gone away. It's been there my entire life. And I realized that's not everybody's mission, dream, desire. And so, planting your seed in a different environment and some different soil can be as much it is about the soil that you're planting in, the new soil, um, or it can is equally be about the weeds in the previous soil that you're getting away from. There's it's not that the soil that you're in isn't good, it's the weeds around there that's keeping you from blossoming, man. And so for me, when I first moved to Miami, I heard a lot of people back in Greenville say things like, man, there's a lot of partying in Miami, man. It's like party capital of the world, and there's drugs and there's women and there's dude, why would you go there? And I thought to myself, and in full transparency, I've been here 6 months. I haven't been to a single club, haven't been on any dates. Obviously no drugs. I've never done drugs in my life, but like there's also this, and that was the mindset that let me know I was qualified to make the move that had been, internally building up in me, because that is the mindset of where I came from. Now, my mindset in moving is like there are some high level individuals. There are people that, there's people in Greenville that might be impressed with the amount of money I make. There's nobody in Miami impressed with it, and so it's getting around people on different levels that can help you to get to the next level. I tell people all the time, if you're hiring a mentor or coach, make sure there's something about that person that you want. If they don't have a life you want, if they don't have joy that you want, if they don't have the marriage that you want, if they're not making the money you want to make, why would you listen to them? And so for me, there was a lot of that here. There's also like some sunshine and some beaches here that are nice on occasion, but like, for me, it wasn't as much of surrounding myself with winners. It was getting away from what I'd been used to my whole life. And I'll say this,
Okay.
man, just transparently, and I love Greenville. I miss Greenville. I miss certain people about Greenville. All my family is in Greenville. I look forward to visiting. But I've made more progress in the last 6 months moving to Miami on my own than I've made the prior 3, 4, 5 years. Easy, like easy. It's not even comparable.
Right.
And there's sacrifice for that, man. I'd be lying to you if I'm not in this apartment. Sometimes lonely as can be, you know, having to remind myself of the vision, remind myself of the reason, remind myself that there's a calling much greater than myself, and I have to optimize myself for me to be put in that position. But yeah, and that's part of it, man. Like, I think a lot of people know what I'm saying. This is not the first time you've heard it, but there is fear of failure. There is fear of the opinions of other people that won't allow you to make a decision that would benefit you drastically. And if you benefit you drastically, everybody that's associated with you is benefited. And
Yeah.
for me, I just, a lot of people said, why would you move to Miami? And I had one friend that said, why would you not? And I said, that is what I needed to hear. I have no reason why I would not.
Yeah.
And so, and I'll say this, like, I feel like I've downloaded what I needed to in Miami. I don't know, this certainly has never been a long-term play for me ever. That was never in my head. And I don't know how much longer it will be, but I think getting yourself in an environment, getting around some people that make you feel a little uncomfortable. Like, dude, in the gym here, like, I'm big dog back in Greenville at the gym. Dude, everybody's in shape here. The women,
You little
everybody. It's just normal here. Dude, I walked in the gym, I said, everybody's a model. There are no overweight people in my gym, and there's something to
Yeah.
be said about that. So yeah,
Yeah.
environment is everything. And I think what holds most people back, because everybody knows that. Everybody is shaking their head, yeah, environment's everything, is the fear of other people, or your fear of the opinions of people should you fail. There's no such thing as failing. Something doesn't work out, you learn, right? My business is growing rapidly. I'm very blessed. I'm very grateful. People don't know about the other 7, 8 things and businesses that I've created prior to this that failed miserably. Whether it was clothing, whether it was landscaping, whether it was marketing. Like, I've tried a million different things because I always had that bone in my body that I failed miserably at. I had no idea what I was doing. I was embarrassed. everybody said, here goes Adam's new thing again, you know? And
Yeah.
so like being able to be okay with failing is a catalyst, dude. Like it's a catalyst to get to where you want to be at. So environment, man,
Yeah.
I'm glad you brought that up. I kind of like,
Great.
it's not that I sweep that under the rug. I forget that has played such a huge role in my development over the last 6 months. And
Mm.
there's no way to value what that could do. And it doesn't have to be permanent. Like I said, Miami is
Yeah.
not my home. It was a very temporary, short-term thing. And I think it, you know, changing your environment can, you know, it's a game changer.
Teaches us so much. And also it injects us into solitude. That sometimes you mentioned being lonely and at some points in the apartment. I call that my December 25th, 2013 day. My entry in my journal. It was Christmas Day, 2013. I was in Greenville, South Carolina for all of maybe 2 weeks. And I spent that Christmas by myself. And I wrote in my journal, December 25th, 2023, the day I learned the price of success. I was lonely. I was by myself on a holiday. All my friends, my ex was now with one of my other friends, and they're living their lives back in New York, Long Island, enjoying Christmas and everything. And I was alone on a holiday because I decided to chase this thing, which was my dream, which was becoming a TV personality. And looking back, my goal has changed. And now I recognize how when you're selling Land Rover, I set my aim way too low. I was like, oh shit, I need to set this higher. But I'm not looking back and not going back anymore. We have literally, we're a little over time, but I'm loving this. I want to do this last
You got me as
question.
long as you need, brother.
I don't want to rob us of this opportunity because we messaged each other. We were talking on Instagram and DMs, and this is something important for men to hear because you mentioned getting away from what you were used to your whole life and new environments. And I think new environments, new circles are very, very important. But I also think it's also very important for us to look in the mirror and take a long, hard look at ourselves at times and ask ourselves why we believe what we believe, why we do what we do, why we follow what we follow.
Yep.
And I know, Adam, you and I don't agree on everything.
Sure.
But what we can agree on wholeheartedly is the importance of us identifying what our truth is, identifying where we get our information from the world, and how we decipher how our reality actually is. So I'd love for you to touch on that really quick, really in the next couple minutes as fast as we can. But yeah, the importance of self-education, man, and debunking these prescribed beliefs that a lot of us have from childhood.
Yeah, and we'll start there. Childhood, man. Like, you know, if I were to ask you certain beliefs that you had, and it could be about fitness, it could be about food, it could be about religion, it could be about you name it. A lot of people, if we were honest, our belief system, our truth, and whatever that industry, that information is, was just downloaded from when we were a child, right? And so a lot of us are walking around with downloaded knowledge from when we were 4 years old that we have just taken on as our own identity, right? And so, and I think that has spiritual connotations internal to people that they can't, like, there's people that feel off, or they feel like something's missing. They feel like, and I think if we really kind of step into this, this self-education of maybe considering a different option in certain aspects, certain realms of society, there also, just kind of like the previous topic we talked about, where like there are certain blessings from the universe that when you're doing what you should be doing as a man, that these things just start happening and you can't explain them. The same goes for seeking truth, you know? And so truth is like, someone may hear the word truth and a couple of, things pop into their head. What is true? Maybe the church they went to told them what was true. Maybe, the weatherman told them it was going to rain and it's not, you know what I mean? So like, yeah, right. I always said, like, the weatherman, man, you only got to be right 50% of the time. I need that job. You don't even have to be.
Hold on, check my bank account.
Yeah.
Still getting paid. We good.
No, I get on this. I'm on this self journey, this mission at 38 years old. I'll be 39 in December, of like really wanting to understand why I understand, right? Like I was I was raised to believe certain things about money that I no longer are a part of anything, way, shape, or form of what I think about money as a whole. Money's not even a currency to me. Money is energy, right? You get back what you put out. And so in every aspect of life, right? It's worth dedicating some effort and some energy into finding some reasons why you believe what you believe. you know it's not good enough to say so by the way, I've got some, a brother that's in pretty good shape, but like I no one taught me fitness. you know no one taught me the importance of it. Food in my family is culture. Like, the buttered up macaroni and cheese, a dessert for me. I was with one of the first girls I dated. She got onto me. She's like, "You mentioned dessert after every meal," and I was like, "Yeah, it's
Yeah.
like the ending course of a meal. You don't just, To me, I was raised that way. That's the point I'm making. I was raised at dessert. So like, I wasn't taught this. I had to create this, and I had to learn the importance of this. This is much more than a look, right? It started with vanity, true. Most of ours do, but it's so much more about work. It's the confidence that comes from me keeping the promises I make to myself about showing up at the gym every single day. About, I have no sweets in my home. It's all whole foods. It either was grown in the ground or grazed on the ground. That's all that's in this house. No product, or sorry, no processed, no sugar, no any of that. Right? I was not taught that. I had to learn that. I had to seek something that I knew internally was going to help me get to where I wanted to be in order to become who I wanted to be. So, yeah, to wrap it up, I challenge everybody. Like, why do you believe what you believe, right? And is it serving you? I'll
Yeah.
say this: I've come across some discoveries in recent just self education that have changed completely the way I view life as a whole. And I feel freedom in that. I feel a sense of, that's what I'm talking about, from my creator above. And I mean that. Like, go get it. Keep searching. You're not there yet. Like, I feel that internally. It feels freeing to know or to experience uh, a different level of truth than maybe something that was downloaded in me as a child. You know,
Yeah.
so that, at the end of the day, will you ever know? In certain aspects, probably not. Right? Is it a worthy venture to try your best? Right? To seek, to ask. There's the verse in the Bible, man. Right? Ask,
Mhm.
ask, and it will be given to you. Knock and the door will open. A lot of us are not doing that. We're like, nope,
Tell-
this was given to me as a kid. Right? Like, knock on that door, see what's on the other side of it.
Yeah, you have not because you ask not, and
Yeah.
those that ask have, and being able to sit in that discomfort, because I don't know the specific quote, but I'm going to paraphrase it. Pretty much says, changing someone's belief is completely rewiring everything they know to be true and what their whole
Mm,
reality is.
yeah.
So you have to be gentle in that approach, but you also have to be willing to sit in that discomfort of your reality being completely turned upside down. And we live in a time right now where people cannot sit for more than a second in a belief or thought process that is opposite theirs.
Isn't it?
But if you can do that um, for more than a minute, because I'm the kind of person, maybe for a different podcast or whatnot, Adam, if you and I have a different view or stance or something, my question is, why do you believe that? Where did you find that? And I'm going to ask for your cognitive process to what got you to your conclusion. Because
Sure.
I'm not going to look at your conclusion and discredit you and say, oh, you're an idiot. You don't know what you're talking about. We
Sure.
just had an hour-long conversation that proves you are an articulate, thoughtful, insightful guy.
Sure.
So if you have a conclusion we see differently on, my next step is going to be understand the cognitive process that got him there, follow up on the sources, and then do your own research to see if you get in the same way. Because
And
when people start with discrediting,
yeah, that's a part of personal growth and development, man. Like, I thought I had everything in my business figured out until I got around some high level people here, and they just tore my stuff apart, man. Like, and it
yeah,
took a level of like, just being humble and realizing that this is a step in the process of getting to the next stage of just letting them rip it apart. Why would you do that? That sounds terrible. That's your email. That's your cold email. Like, oh God, dude, it was working, right? Like I thought it was solid. I spent many hours, learning what I could on it, but like, yeah, that's a part of it, man. And I think, worst case scenario, you learn something, like,
Yeah.
you know, uh, uh, education doesn't have to be your belief system, but it's added information that you can download and utilize in some way, shape, or form. So, no,
Yeah, man.
powerful question and thought for sure.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Where can people find you, man? How can people connect with you, reach out to you, follow some of your content, learn more what you're doing and where you're moving?
Yeah. So, Instagram, I'm on daily. I try to, if I have a thought, right? A lot of times I'm in the middle of studying something, or I'm in the middle of work, or I had an experience at the gym, and I like to share that information on Instagram. I like to inspire. I like to motivate. Also, like to let people know that like I'm as real as anybody else. So I go through my yelling at the guy on the scooter that ran the red light and I almost hit, which would have been my fault, but he ran, stuff like that. I like to be as real and authentic as possible. And then I picked up my pace on X recently. One, I think there's good information on X, formerly Twitter, that you're not going to find in a lot of places. And there's some freedom there as well. I have some stronger beliefs about life in general, politics, patriotism. Um, that certain well-meaning platforms won't allow me to speak on, and X seems to be a place where I can kind of, speak my mind there. So X and Instagram, Adam Powell Fitness, you'll find me there. They're both interconnected. But other than that, man, I just hopefully you'll keep following Ted, and one day I'll end up on the story, lifting some weights in the gym with him. So
That's what I'm talking about.
yeah,
I love it. I love it. And I like how your social media is kind of like the modern day mullet, like Instagram's business.
I love
And
it.
then actually where you let the hair down.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, like that. That's literally it. I tell people all the time, you think this Instagram's crazy, you ought to go to the X page. So
Yeah.
I'll say this for anybody listening to this, I would encourage anybody. I partake in the opposite side of this, but like if you're looking at it and Ted is great at this. I have garnered so much respect just because of this. Where did you come up with that answer? Why do you believe that? Right? Where did that come from? Can you share something with me? Why do you think that? I disagree. I think being able to have conversation like that is super important. And I think society has taught us that if we disagree with someone, that makes them wrong. And I don't think
Yeah.
that's fair, right? And I think in a 2024 world where some people quite literally get punished for that, it just makes us want to shut up and stay in our own lane. And I don't think anything gets better that way. So like, give you full permission. Like if there's something on X or Instagram, if you decide to follow or tag along, like, and you got a question or you disagree, share it with me, man. I'm not perfect. I'm a man on a journey that wants to be best. I went and had some blood work done the other day, and I told the guy, he's like, what's your main goal? I said, optimization. I want to be as optimized as possible, physically, mentally, emotionally. I want to be as optimized as a man as possible because everybody around me is served positively because of that. So,
That's my man right there. I appreciate that.
Ted, thank you so much for having me on, brother.
Yeah, no, it's been an absolute pleasure having you on, Adam. And this is the last question. Usually the heaviest one, which is why I saved it for last. What is something you've seen or something that's happened to you that shapes the way you view the world as a man?
Oh man,
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna give you a little story, 2 minutes tops. And this is transparency. This is something that like friends of mine, when they see this, they might be surprised to hear this, but I feel comfortable on this podcast releasing it. But a relationship that I'd been a part of for multiple years ended recently. And a part of that relationship involved a young boy. So when I met him, he was 3 or 4. He's now 6. He'll be 7 next January. And in getting close to this person, obviously me and this boy became close, and it unlocked this fatherly, want to be a leader, want to be in tip top. It unlocked something inside of me that I was telling Ted earlier, I cannot extinguish. Like
Yeah.
there is nothing in my life I want more than to be a father, and I think about it all the time. And, after the realization that this relationship wasn't going to work, to be honest, the thing I held on to the most was the kid. Like he looked at me as a superhero. He bragged at school about me. This thing that I had always for years I've been lifting, thinking one day my son. I didn't know it was going to be somebody else's son, but like I loved him as my own. But what he unlocked in me was the understanding and the real life experience that a young person like that needs what we provide as a top tier male more than you could ever imagine. Uh, we probably went 6 months in a break where I didn't see him. I wasn't a part of his life at all. And when I was reintroduced, there were a lot of things there I noticed that had slipped through the cracks. We'll just say, some
Yeah.
behaviors, some yes sirs, some yes miss, some stuff like that I was very passionate on teaching him. I took that responsibly. So I think for me, man, is like the understanding that if you were a father or you plan to be, and I'll say this quite frankly, if you don't plan to be, I would reconsider. That is your mission here on earth. Your mission is not your job. Your mission is not how much you bench press at the end of the day. Your mission is to raise men and women to continue this life on, this existence on after we're gone, and for them to impact the world positively. They can't impact the world positively unless you impact them positively. But there is, when you are on your P's and Q's and you have the ability to protect and provide and lead and teach, there's been no greater satisfaction in my life than that with that kid that I didn't even make. I told myself all the time, when I make a kid, I'm going to be that's the only thing. Ted, you were talking earlier about your tears welling up. That's the only thing in recent memory that will cause that for me. And so for me, I just want to say that that being in the back of your head, that's what it's all about. You working on you becoming the best version of yourself, you getting rid of vices, and addictions in order to best serve yourself is for that next generation, man. And if you can understand that, if you can unlock that, it makes it so much easier to download and that into your daily life. So yeah, I hopefully that answered the question, Ted. But that literally is the biggest unlock. Is that's what it's about. I've wasted so many years on other shit, chasing this, chasing money, chasing, recognition, chasing a body fat percentage. And nothing stuck out to me more than I was like, holy shit, this kid literally looks up to me in everything. He would, if I told him to jump, he'd jump. You know what I mean? Like if I tell him something, it's Bible to him, and that is a power and a responsibility and an opportunity that can't come from any other area of life.
Yeah, no, that's huge, man. I love that. I appreciate you sharing that, man.
Yeah, absolutely.
Adam Powell on the show, man. Great conversation. This is going to be one of the record books I already know. The downloads are going to go crazy. But Adam, man, thank you for being on, sharing your expertise, your experience, and just who you are with us, brother. Appreciate it,
man. Thank you so much for sharing your platform. And if anybody has any questions, reach out, and we'll make sure we film that arm wrestle match when it happens.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Right.
I'm all technique. You might have the size, but I got the technique.
I'm kind of worried, to be honest. The confidence you're coming with, I'm kind of worried. I might have to go left hand on you. So, but
hey, listen,
thanks
man.
so much, man.
I don't intend to win in the first few seconds. I'll put it that way. I'm gonna let the endurance. I'm gonna let you come out hard. I'm gonna let you get some good momentum. I'm
a one-hitter quitter. I already know I can't last 3 rounds, so I'm coming with everything on that first one.
That's it. I'm anticipating the hammer. Just hold them down, and just let some endurance work in my favor. But I'm gonna recap some of the things that you said, man, because a lot of gems, and I know a lot of guys listening are either in the gym, driving, cleaning, doing what they got to do, but discipline. Your mission in life, make something more than yourself. So many of us will give up on ourselves. We're quick to make a few exceptions for ourselves, but we will definitely be on our P's and Q's when we're kept accountable and we connect our value to something outside of ourselves. At some point, your back needs to be covered. This is to the lone wolves out there who think they got it figured out. Who's watching your flight? Because when you get in over your head, and if you're really setting your goals high enough, you're going to get in over your head. You're going to need somebody to watch your plane. Make what you do about other people. My future kid's superhero. So many of you are working on being the superhero right now before your kid even shows up. Or maybe your kid is in your life and you're not that superhero yet. Unpack them, sculpt that hero within you. And I say within you with intention because everything you need as a man is within you. You need to unlock it, open that up. Do it now. Don't wait. And then what's the goal? Know what you want. Cut out the excuses, get rid of the vices, and then focus on the responsibility that's been bestowed upon you by our Creator to be the best self that you are in order to provide value in the world around you, then this is how you feel competent, confident, and capable, and become an asset, not a liability. The difficultness in your life is what gives value. If you have anything that's easy to obtain, you probably don't cherish it that much. Anything that was hard to obtain is probably something you take really good care of. And then you attract what you are. Don't be negative, be positive. And then getting away from what you've been used to your whole life. Sometimes a change in environment is what you need for that potent growth that you're looking for that next step that you're looking for, and impact the world positively. If you're not a parent, consider being one, and consider pouring into those around you that can get the benefits from the value that you've created within yourself. Guys, go ahead, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, get a new episode each and every single week. And of course, you already know I'm going to ask that you leave us a rating to let us know how we're doing. That's the only way we get better. And of course, make sure you share this with somebody that's going to get value from it as well. Like I say at the end of the episode every week, guys, everybody wants the sunshine, but they don't want the rain. But you can't get the pleasure without first the pain. Let's grow.